Welcome. I'm Gayathri and I'm passionate about transformative coaching in the realm of life and leadership. My journey towards coaching started with an educational background in psychology and over 20 years of corporate leadership. Today, my commitment to help unlock limitless possibilities within each individual has culminated in the creation of my organization, Realize to Win. As a certified master coach, my philosophy centers around the power of the human mind and its boundless capacity for growth and achievement. My approach is rooted in the belief that with the right mindset, training, and guidance, there's truly no limits to what you can accomplish. My work is just not about reaching goals. It is truly about redefining the very boundaries of potential. Join me every week on my podcast, Catalyze Your Self, where we can dive into mindsets, experiences, and practical steps that will ignite your transformation towards limitless possibilities. I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. Welcome to Catalyze Your Self, where we dive deep into personal growth and unlock the secrets of transforming our challenges into our strengths. I'm your host, Gayathri, and today we are tackling a universal emotion that can either paralyze us or propel us forward: fear. In episode 10, Transform Your Fear to Courage, we will explore the nature of fear, how it affects our success and choices, and most importantly, how can we convert this daunting feeling into courage and action? When I reflect back into my own life and the lives of those who have been part of my journey, this particular emotion has shown its impact more than any other. And this realization is what made me determine I needed to tackle this topic within my Catalyze Yourself series. I am grateful you've chosen to join me today. And so now let's go ahead and dive into this. What is most interesting about every emotion that we have is they do not stand alone. What I mean by this is that every emotion comes as a group, a herd, and it typically has a leader, which is the strongest emotion you're feeling. For example, if the strongest emotion you're feeling at a time is happiness, you will find typically you're also having emotions of contentment, gratitude, optimism, relief, etc. If you're feeling the strongest of excitement, you will find the herd of emotions that come with it, which is typically anticipation, curiosity, enthusiasm, hope. Now, life is good with these emotions. Your mind is in a good place, your body is not getting alarm bells and signals, and it stays in an optimal state. When we look at anger as the strongest emotion, typically you will find the herd it comes with includes frustration, irritation, resentment, hostility, bitterness. Now, not putting us in a good mental or physical space, is it? Let's move to fear, the one that made me even want to talk about all of this with you. If fear is your strongest emotion, it will typically bring up anxiety, panic, dread, suspicion, paranoia, helplessness, typically. And there's an interesting caveat here. Fear, with its herd of emotions, triggers hormones in our body that creates the fight or flight response. So if this is an individual who has anger as a strong emotion, the fight response comes up. And now we have two herds of emotions that can create extreme stress in your mind and body. And this can typically lead to poor judgment and choices. When we look at fear, we will find that each one of us have made choices based on it or have known someone who has done the same. It could be that the choices were made where someone let fear prevent them from investing in a relationship. Let fear create an approach of excessive caution. Let fear prevent them from taking new challenges for growth. Let fear position themselves in a place where they are acting against their own morals and values. Let fear create a mindset of perceiving people around them, or the world around them as a threat. For those of us who have decided to invest in ourselves so we can truly become our best selves, it becomes very clear. Fear is an emotion that has to be understood and needs to be transformed into courage in each and every one of us. And yes, this is absolutely possible, and we can absolutely do it. So, what exactly is fear? It is a fundamental, deeply wired emotional reaction rooted in the human psyche that serves to protect us from potential dangers. It is both instinctual and learned through our experiences. Fear is a basic survival mechanism that signals to our bodies to respond to danger with fight or flight response. It is an essential part of humans and animals reacting to potential threats, ensuring survival. But what happens when fear starts interfering with our daily lives and decisions? Now it's preventing us from thriving. Let's start by looking into possibilities of why a person may allow fear to make their choices for them. Comfort in familiarity. Fear often keeps people within known boundaries where they feel safe, even if it limits their life experiences. Avoidance of failure or rejection. Fear of adverse outcomes can lead someone to avoid taking risks or attempting new things, shielding them from possible pain or disappointment. Perceived self protection. The belief that fear helps them avoid dangers can result in someone allowing fear to be their default choice whenever anything challenges comes their way. Now, I want to make a caveat here. In this world of ours, there are true scenarios where individuals are placed in physical and mental danger. Fear is a critical tool, a critical signal that we have to listen to ensure our survival. Fear is that critical signal in those scenarios that asks us to determine ways to protect and to change us and move us out of that danger. What we are referencing in our session today is where fear is not truly in response to a threat, but a perceived threat that may not exist. Or it is where fear is utilized as a tool to keep someone in comfort or to avoid discomfort. Having said that, let's also take a look at the possibilities of why a person may choose to overcome their fears when making decisions. Enhanced personal freedom. By overcoming fears, individuals find that they're free now to pursue a wider range of experiences. Your self-esteem getting stronger. Conquering fears can boost your self-confidence, as now you've proven to yourself time and time again that you can face it and overcome it. Broader experiences and success. Overcoming fear can lead to success in various aspects of life, including career, personal relationships, professional achievements, personal achievements, as it allows individuals to take risks. Transforming your fear involves recognizing the dual nature of fear as both a protector and a limiter, and learning to navigate it in ways that enhances your growth rather than inhibit it. Through intentional practices, you can make fear a constructive part of your journey rather than a roadblock. By now, we know this. We are training our brain regardless of what we do. We are teaching it every moment what we want, what we like, what we do not like, how we prefer to behave, think, and everything about who we are. There are many studies that have highlighted that prolonged fear can impair the formation of long-term memories, making it harder to regulate emotions and thoughts. This can lead to avoidance behaviors, reducing our ability to take calculated risks where necessary for our personal and professional growth. Studies show that fear can profoundly impact our success and choices we make, where people can experience behavioral inaction, where we just freeze up. What does this mean for us when we stay in fear? Freezing up can be very detrimental in both survival scenarios and everyday making process. It can affect our career choices, our personal growth, and even relationships. Now, each of us can think of people in our lives who have made decisions based on fear. More often than not, those decisions have resulted in loss for themselves and those impacted by those decisions. More often than not, that fear was based on past experiences, and this individual could not come out of their fear that it would repeat again. They were just not willing to take the chance that this time reality could have turned out differently. Nesting in the comfort of fear is a trained choice. The mind of these individuals have found comfort in fear, which helps them in their mind avoid future pain. The brain of this person has created neural pathways for this response, and so now it becomes easier and easier for them to repeat this. And the idea of moving out of fear response becomes harder and harder of a concept to tackle. In reality, it is possible, absolutely. Every fear, no matter how deep rooted, can be transformed little by little, step by step, with determination and commitment. Absolutely, it can be transformed. When you determine to transform any fear that you have, your thinking should move to, is this possible? Absolutely. Has it been done before? Absolutely. Can I do it? Absolutely. It is a matter of you deciding and committing to taking the right steps to retrain your brain, your mind, and your body to choose a different response than before when the signal of fear comes. That is it. How can we transform fear into courage and action? It is simply retraining the brain and body to handle the fear differently. Let me give you some practical steps. Step one, acknowledgement, recognition. It's very similar to every other concept. You first have to recognize it's there, acknowledge it's there. It's that awareness, it's that self-awareness that's so important. The awareness can be a challenge if you're not willing to put in the effort to learn everything about your own self. You could miss your own fear because sometimes it can disguise itself, showing itself as procrastination, anger, even apathy. We have to really take the time to learn who we truly are, and that helps us recognize that something has truly stepped out of an underlying base of fear. And by acknowledging our fear, then we bring it to light, and immediately we now reduce its power over us. Now that you have acknowledged and recognized it is there, you now focus on understanding the origin. You ask yourself, what is the source of my fear? Is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear of rejection? Is it something else? Understanding the root cause is crucial in addressing it appropriately. Often, our fears are not reflective of actual threats, but rather the worst case scenarios we have created in our minds. And now that we have taken the steps to understand, the next step is microdose exposures, or small steps, small bites, aim small, miss small, everything, where you give yourself the fear that is stopping you in small, manageable doses. So, for example, if your fear is interacting with new people, people you're not familiar with, it could be that you take small steps where you start saying hi. You don't have to have a long conversation. You just start with the first step of just a friendly, small, limited interaction. And then you keep extending based on how far you can go. You decide how large of a step you keep taking, but start small, but keep increasing your threshold. Slowly and safely exposing ourselves to the things that scare us can reduce our fear response to them over time. The next is choosing courage. This involves changing your fear narrative. Instead of thinking whatever it is going to, I can do this, it's going to stop me, it's too much, you tell yourself, I am prepared to try it, I will face it. And these type of shifting of the narrative is where you start retraining your brain to take on a more courageous, I can do this approach and release the fearful, I cannot do it approach. And finally, keep building your courage with taking those small steps and consistently and gradually expanding your threshold of how much more and more you can face your fears. You are now consistently taking actions that empower you. And this will take you to a place where finally your brain is rewired to recognize fear as a signal and move over to courage to take the action needed to respond to it. Now, these actions, all of which that I've given you, should come with supporting mindsets that will help you be the most effective at it. First of which is practicing relaxation techniques like mindfulness. These counteract the preconditioned physiological responses that your body will demonstrate to you. Your blood pressure, your heart rate, your feelings of anxiety can all be calmed down by slowing down and practicing mindfulness. Surround yourself with people who uplift and support you. The count of people don't matter. It is having those who are able to give you non-judgmental support and truly exist to raise you up. If that is not who you're surrounding yourself with today, find yourself those people. And yes, your pets also qualify. Another one, the third one I would recommend is remember and acknowledge every instance where you overcome fear. Reflect on the instances where you faced your fear and you succeeded. This is a powerful motivator and a reminder that fear does not have the final say if you choose to. At its core, fear is simply a signal that tells us some sort of action needs to be taken to ensure our safety, physical or psychological. For both, we have to practice discernment to ensure it is a valid signal. And if it is valid, we need to take actions to mitigate it. And to take such action, we need to replace the signal that brought it to us, the emotion that brought it to us, which is fear. And we need to transform that emotion that will allow us to take action, which is courage, which is needed for our moving forward, the emotion of courage. If you can think of the sequence of events like this, signal of fear comes, you use your discernment to determine if the fear is valid, you shift your emotion to courage, you take action, and you have now trained your brain and your body and your whole self that fear cannot hold you back. To wrap up, fact is, fear is a powerful emotion. With the right tools and mindset, it can be transformed into a source of strength and motivation. By understanding and working through our fears, we can open the door to a world of possibilities and a path towards courage. We have to remember that fear is not just a barrier. It can truly be a powerful motivator for us to choose courage. It can propel us forward to take risks, find new solutions, and ultimately to catalyze our own growth. The key is to transform the fear from a crippling agent into a catalyst for action. Thank you for joining me today on this insightful journey today on Catalyze Yourself. I am your host, Gayathri, and remember, fear is not the enemy. It is a signal, a signpost, pointing you towards areas where you need to grow. Let's embrace it. Let's understand it and let it guide you to greater heights. Until next time, keep pushing out your boundaries, keep catalyzing yourself, and transform your fear into courage every single time.